They never said it out loud, but you could feel it. They weren't waiting to see you rise, they were hoping you'd stay down. They smiled when you were silent, cheered when you doubted yourself. Because the moment you stood up, you became a mirror they couldn't look into, a reminder of everything they feared in someone who refused to crawl. They said they were happy for you. They acted like they wanted to see you do well. But the truth is, they were more comfortable when you were struggling. They liked it better when you doubted yourself, when you kept asking for help. As long as you stayed unsure, they felt secure. They didn't want to see you grow. They didn't want you to realize your worth. Because the moment you did, you no longer needed them, and that scared them. You didn't crawl, you stood up. And once you did, their real intentions started to show. What you didn't see at the time was that all of it had a purpose. The way people walked away, the sudden distance, the silence from those who used to cheer you on. It hurt, but it wasn't random. It was revelation. It was clarity dressed as confusion. God saw what you couldn't. He heard the things they said behind your back. He knew the truth in their hearts, even when their words sounded kind. And because he loves you, he removed them. He didn't wait for you to see the cracks. He pulled you away before you shattered. You might have felt abandoned, but really you were being protected. He stepped in, not to punish them, but to guide you away from what would have destroyed you later. From what looked good, but wasn't good for your soul. Some people weren't part of your future. Their role in your story had ended. And God made sure you didn't carry their weight into your next chapter. No matter how good people are at pretending, the truth has a way of rising. The people who once smiled in your face started slipping. Their tone changed, their support faded, and you began to notice the little things. How they clapped quieter when you succeeded, how they disappeared when you needed real support. How their eyes stopped lighting up when you talked about your dreams. It was never about you doing something wrong. It was about you growing past the version of you they were comfortable with. They didn't expect you to catch on, but you did. You started seeing people for who they really were, not who they pretended to be. And as painful as it was, that truth gave you freedom. It gave you release. It allowed you to stop fighting for spaces that didn't value you. In the end, you didn't lose them. They lost access to you. They counted on you to stay small, but you chose to grow. They expected you to keep asking for approval, but you learned how to move without needing permission. You became what they never expected: independent, grounded, whole. Yes, it cost you some people. Yes, it felt lonely at times, but standing tall gave you something more valuable than their fake support. It gave you peace. It gave you clarity. It gave you the space to finally become who you were meant to be. And with that space, you grew roots. And from those roots came a version of you no one could shake. And now, you don't need to prove anything. Your presence speaks for itself. Your strength is quiet, but undeniable. You're not better than anyone, but you're no longer less than anyone either. You know your value now. You walk in it. That's what scares them the most. So if you've ever wondered why they changed, why people grew distant the moment you grew stronger, this is why. You stopped crawling. You stood tall. And they couldn't handle it. But that's not your burden to carry. You weren't made to shrink for anyone. You weren't made to stay silent so others could feel louder. You were made to rise. God saw your heart. He saw the pain, the effort, the lonely nights. And still, you kept going. He didn't remove people to punish you. He did it to protect your future, to make room for the right ones. The ones who don't just clap when you win, but stand with you when you struggle. Not everyone can handle your light. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. So walk forward, keep standing. Not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because the world doesn't need more people who crawl. It needs more people who rise, just like you.